Welcome to Model Walk Explained. In this episode, our story is called Suddenly in Love, NA. Our model plays a young woman named Audrey. Audrey mysteriously falls into a romance novel written in 1999. There is only one way for her to return to the real world. She must make the cold and distant Vincent genuinely fall in love with her. Knowing every classic romance trope, Audrey thinks the mission will be easy. Tears, chance encounters, dramatic goodbyes. Surely love can be written according to a formula. But when the door home finally opens, she discovers that the hardest part of love is not making someone fall for you. It is admitting that you no longer want to leave. Suddenly, in love, Audrey wakes to the sound of rain falling outside the window. It is 1999. There is no smartphone beside her bed. Instead, a pager flashes with a tiny red light. A note is stuck beside the mirror, written in neat handwriting she does not recognize. Make Vincent fall in love with you, and the story will end. It does not take Audrey long to understand what has happened. She has somehow fallen into the old-fashioned romance novel she was reading the night before. Vincent is the male lead. He comes from a wealthy and influential family, but he is distant, guarded, and almost impossible to approach. He has never believed that anyone could come close to him without wanting something in return. In the original story, the heroine loves him for years, before eventually leaving because of a painful misunderstanding. Audrey remembers everything, every meeting, every argument, every turning point. So, she decides to rewrite the story. She begins arranging their encounters. She forgets her umbrella on a rainy day. She happens to rescue him from an awkward situation at a party. When she falls ill, Vincent somehow arrives at exactly the right moment. Everything seems to be going according to plan, except Vincent keeps looking at her with eyes that are far too observant. "You seem to know me very well," he says. Audrey smiles. "Because there are plenty of men like you in romance novels." Vincent does not understand the joke, but he remembers her smile. At first, Audrey sees everything as part of the mission. Then something begins to change. When thunder frightens her at night, Vincent quietly waits outside her door. When she becomes homesick for a world she cannot explain, he takes her somewhere high above the city, where thousands of lights glow beneath them. He never asks where she really came from. Instead, he tells her, sometimes people cannot explain where they belong because they have not yet found someone willing to believe them. For the first time, Audrey forgets to calculate how close she is to completing the mission. Then Vincent's family falls into crisis. According to the original novel, Vincent must become engaged to another woman to save the family business. A message appears before Audrey. If she leaves now, Vincent will finally realize that he loves her. The mission will be complete. She will be able to go home. So Audrey follows the script. She leaves him a short letter and waits at the railway station, convinced that Vincent will come running after her at the last possible moment. That is how these stories always work. But the train departs. Vincent never comes. 3 months later, Audrey finds him by the sea. He has given up his inheritance and is preparing to leave the city. "Why didn't you come after me?" she asks. Vincent looks at her quietly. "Because every time you came closer to me, you looked like someone who already knew how our story would end." He pauses. "But when you left, that was the first time you felt real." Audrey has no answer. At that exact moment, a brilliant white light appears in the sky. The mission is complete. She can finally return home. Vincent sees the light, and somehow, he understands. "You're not from this world, are you?" Audrey slowly shakes her head. "Then go," he says. "You've always wanted to go home." Audrey stands before the light, but now she remembers every umbrella Vincent held over her, every lamp he left burning when she was afraid, every question he chose not to ask. She once believed love was only a bridge. Cross it, finish the story, and move on. Now she understands that some bridges lead you home, others make you reconsider where home really is. Old stories tell us that deep love always comes with suffering. Modern stories tell us that walking away is a sign of strength. Audrey suddenly realizes that both ideas are only half true. Love is neither sacrifice nor escape. Sometimes, it is simply two people who were already complete on their own, choosing to leave a place for each other in the future. Audrey had treated attraction like a scene she could control. Only now does she understand. There is no script for falling in love. No strategy. No perfect formula. Sometimes, you simply reach a moment when you no longer want to pretend. Audrey turns around and embraces Vincent. The world begins to collapse around them. Buildings curl like the pages of an old book. Vincent whispers into her ear, "Are you sure?" Audrey answers, "Before, I only wanted you to fall in love with me." She holds him tighter. "Now I want to live this life with you." White light consumes everything. When Audrey opens her eyes again, she is back in the modern world. In her hands is the same romance novel, only now the final pages are blank. 1 year later, Audrey walks into an old bookstore. Across the room stands a stranger in a dark coat. It is the same kind of coat Vincent used to wear, and in his hand is a pager. He looks at Audrey as though he has crossed years just to find her. "This time," he says, "there is no mission." Audrey smiles. Perhaps falling in love is never truly sudden. Sometimes, love simply takes the long way through time before finally reaching two people who are ready to admit it. And that is where our story ends. If you enjoyed Suddenly in Love, please subscribe to Model Walk Explained, like the video, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest 4K model shoots, street photography videos, fashion films, and original romance stories. See you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.
Yo te caché la señal, me hicieron falta palabras. Fue un lenguaje corporal, todo fluyó natural. De lejos se notaba la energía sexual. Mami, ¿qué más? Hay algo en ti que me tiene mal, una belleza que me quema. Cuando vaya, la nota me estalla. Mami, ¿qué más? Hay algo en ti que me tiene mal. Sé que anda puesta para el problema. Dale, vaya, que yo te doy falla, falla. Deja que los cuerpos hablen, no hace falta más. Sí, ya muy bien tú sabes lo que va a pasar. Tú me pones la mente a volar. Deja que los cuerpos hablen, no hace falta más. Sí, ya muy bien tú sabes lo que va a pasar. Si conmigo te dejas llevar. Nah.
I feel like the real MVP. I feel like I should give a speech. I feel like I deserve a ring. I feel like the highlight if you know what I mean. I can wear my pride on my sleeve. I can do things you only dream. I feel like the greatest thing. I'm sorry if this comes off cocky. I'm just feeling myself. I'm just feeling myself. Don't know if you could tell, yeah, but I'm just feeling myself. Yeah. Whoa, whoa. I feel like I married a queen. I straight up feel like royalty. I should be covered in Gucci. I belong in the movies, right next to Clooney. What's up with all these sad boys? I feel bad, boy, that you a sad boy, cause I be letting up like gasoline. So let the good times rain on me. I'm just feeling myself. I'm just feeling myself. Don't know if you could tell, yeah, I'm just feeling myself.